Imagine this. You're a professional basketball player and you are minding your own business at a red light, stroking it, and all of a sudden, a boy in blue comes up to you and stops you from finishing your mission. Well, for Byron Houston, you don't have to imagine, but more on that later. Chad Wheeler beats women. You heard right, folks. The former Seattle lineman has just recently been found guilty for physically abusing his ex-girlfriend, Aaliyah Taylor. Although he has already left the league, no doubt him being charged for it back in 2021 was a big factor in him being a former NFL player. And I'm not hating, but former NFL player doesn't sound as good as NFL player. You know what else doesn't sound good? This audio of Chad Wheeler getting arrested.
Hey, put your hands behind your back. All right. Hey, fucking hands on your back, dude. Hey, he's got one back. All right. Pull him out of there. I got one hand. Girl, let's go real quick.
Please stop. I'm sorry. Aaliyah. Please, I love you. Aaliyah, I love you, please.
Wow. Did you hear him say, "I love you"? Well, if you do love her, Mr. Girlfriend Abuser, you have a weird way of showing it. This is what Aaliyah had to say on the matter.
It took me a while to fully process it because it's been going on for so long. You know, it's just, yeah, I'm finally feeling that freeing feeling, I don't have to feel so nervous, you know?
Well, I sure am glad he got charged and was unable to beat the case. Speaking of things I wish wasn't beaten, Byron Houston. All right, Houston was arrested on accounts of indecent exposure. Indecent exposure? Wait a minute. How did we get here? Let's go back. Let's start from the beginning. Byron Houston was born in Oklahoma in 1969. Nice. He went to Star Spencer High School and quickly became one of their most prolific basketball players to come from that department. He quickly became one of the best basketball players to ever touch Star Spencer's court. After Star Spencer, Byron was picked up by OSU, where he became the university's all-time leading scorer with 2,379 points, which is probably how he ended up being the Bulls' first-round choice in the 1992 draft. Here is a picture of Byron's rookie card. Look at those numbers. This is probably why he's OSU's all-time scorer. Houston said that before games, his secret to success was that he would get himself angry. My daily ritual, getting myself angry. I would hate the world before a game. I always reacted. Somebody would hit me with an elbow, I'd hit them back with anger behind it. I played better angry. That's how I was. The more physical the game got, the more revved up I got. Why I programmed myself that way, I don't know. That's what Houston said. But behind all this success, Houston was up to no good. Because 3 times between September 9th, 2001 and August 30th, 2002, he exposed himself to women in public and performed a sex act, which can only mean one thing. Houston was sent to Clay Crossing Rehab on December 9th, 2003, on a court order. When Houston appears in court, he tries to say, "I'm sorry," but the judge says, "Sorry doesn't cut it." He ends up spending time in jail in the same jail that Joe Exotic went to. He then later got out, but in June 2006, when Houston was 41, he was removed from a children's basketball camp in Oklahoma because he was a registered sex offender, and you can't be around kids, dog. That's like your rule. You can't be around kids. Anyway, he ends up back in court in 2007 after 2 street cops notice a car parked in the middle of an intersection rocking vigorously. Once the officers approached, they noticed Byron Houston exposing himself with a self-made white substance covering his steering wheel. In 2008, he ended up back in court and he tries to say, "I'm sorry" again, but it doesn't cut it and he's in for his 4th felony. Now Byron Houston is a sex offender again.
Oh, here we go again.
Please don't show your PP. That's the only way for this not to happen. When you were on top of the world, you were an NBA player, and now you are a sex offender because you showed your PP. But wait a second, 3 years later, the OSU athletic department posted on YouTube a video of him being inducted into the Hall of Honors. What is this about, OSU? Why are you talking about this man like he's a hero? I know why they did this, because he still had a great career in the NBA. I mean, come on. Even though he had his faults, he still played for the Bulls, and then the Golden Gate Warriors, and then the Seattle Supersonics, and Sacramento Kings. Come on, he played all over the place. But just because you're an NBA player and you're on top of the world and you're breaking records, doesn't mean life's great. Let me get real with you guys here. Houston had a hard life. It wasn't one filled with laughter and too much fun. You see, Houston was diagnosed with bipolar and depression, and he had wild mood swings. Houston said he'd been depressed since he was a kid. He's even a self-admitted alcoholic. I mean, come on, this guy is the classic all-American sports hero. He had it all. He was on top of the world. He was the best player. And then he lost it all. Everything went crumbling down. His career, his life, his marriage. Houston's counselor at Clay Crossing says, "Big old boy's scared. He's hurt. He's afraid. He doesn't know if he's got a home to go to, if he's gonna be married, if he's gonna go to jail." You know, Byron played his last season in the NBA in 1996. But he probably dreamt of playing in it 5 minutes ago. Since that season, though, he didn't give up, and so he traveled the world playing. He went to Spain, the Philippines, Russia, Poland, even St. Louis and Moline. And back in 2000, he thought he made it back in the NBA. You know, he thought he scored a slot on the Milwaukee Bucks, but coach George Karl cut him. You see, Houston worked hard for what he achieved. When he was back at OSU, he didn't drink at all. He didn't touch the stuff. Even when he was in the NBA in that high-class world, he refrained from the first 2 years, even when he went on to play with the Golden State Warriors. But when he went on to Seattle in 1994, 1995, he became a casual drinker. And when he went overseas and he left his family back in Oklahoma City, the drinking escalated and he started adding drugs. He took speed and ecstasy and washed it down with tequila. I mean, the guy's lucky to be alive. Houston said he began noticing his depression his final year in the NBA season. He said lots of ups and downs, lots of paranoia. Maybe I blew it off as part of life, just a place I was going through. Some place, Houston. You know, looking back, Houston believes he always has battled with depression. Always had anger and sadness mood swings. But all his friends back at OSU recall him as a little bit moody, but generally even-tempered man-child. A ball player who was a cool guy off the court, but a destroyer on the hard wood. He'd really go at it. Some even called him a dirty player, but that's beside the point. He said his bipolar disorder made the anger come and go, and sometimes he'd be consumed by sadness. He reached lower and lower lows. In 1996, when Houston went overseas to keep his basketball dreams alive, he had never felt more isolated. And all of that environmental stress and previous bad decisions all compiled, and he was set, locked in on a path of life. My career wasn't going the way I wanted to. My relationship with my wife wasn't going the way I wanted to. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I didn't know if I had a job. I was getting pressure from my wife. So many things I felt going wrong in my life, being out of work. I didn't even know if I would be able to keep a roof over my kids' heads. His counselor back at Clay Crossing notices that his depression is immense and knows a thing or two about seeing a man spiral to rock bottom. But he says his main problem is his addiction, the drinking, the drugs. I mean, Houston was sauced every time he did his sexual crimes. The counselor said, is he a pervert? I mean, I'd trust him with my kids. But if he's drunk, well, I wouldn't trust anyone if they were drunk. Byron's on the long, windy path back to recovery. And he's made some steps and some progress. Even some of the people in his life have been able to forgive him. His children, his mother, his old teammates and coaches, friends like Scott Streller, who was a graduate assistant coach during Houston's OSU days and even helped him out to keep him at Clay Crossing when the money was tight. Even his ex-wife of 8 years, Monica, is working to forgive him. But the only person who hasn't forgiven him is Byron. His counselor says it's a typical defense mechanism. Houston is still angry, though it seems to get better day by day. I think we can all learn something from Houston. Even if you get to the top, even if you make all of your dreams happen, don't jerk off at a red light. Are you kidding me? Why would you do that, dude? You were an NBA player. I understand your wife's a little upset with you. Don't jerk off in public, okay? You'll get arrested, and that's just bad, okay? That's bad. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.